Chapter 15. A Bittersweet Reunion. Alex sat by her grandma's bedside alone, holding her hand. The fairy godmother had been sleeping peacefully since she got there. She didn't look like she had a care in the world, but Alex knew this is her favorite facade to keep. Even as she slept, she couldn't be trusted to show her true feelings. Something was very wrong, and Alex could sense it. Are you going to tell me what's the matter with her, Alex asked? Or are you just going to sit there and make me figure it out on my own like everything else? Esmeralda and Mother Goose sat on the other side of the bed, keeping to themselves. Red and Froggy were there too. They stood at the foot of the bed, wishing there was something they could do to comfort their friend. The week had proven to be a difficult one for all of them. Your grandmother has been feeling very tired for a long time, Mother Goose said. She asked me not to tell anyone, and then today she didn't wake up. Today's the first time I'm hearing this too, Alex, Esmeralda said. She was keeping it from everyone. But what does tired mean, Alex said, becoming frustrated. Does she just need rest? Or is there anything I can get or give her to wake her up? Or she... Alex couldn't bring herself to say it. I'm afraid there's nothing any of us can do, Mother Goose said. So she's dying, Alex finally said. If that's what's happening, why can't either of you just tell me? Esmeralda sighed. Not for Alex, but for herself. Yes, she confirmed. We believe the fairy godmother is dying. Tears immediately ran down Alex's face. She had always known her grandmother wouldn't be around forever, but she never accepted to lose her so soon. I'm so sorry, Alex, Red said. Please, let us know if there's anything we can do, Froggy said. Alex didn't say anything. Of course there wasn't. The only thing that would comfort her now would be if her grandmother woke up. I haven't even lived here a full year yet, Alex said through her tears. My grandma is the only family I have. I just don't know why this is happening. Mother Goose hoped it would supply the young fairy with a little comfort if she explained. Your grandmother's been around for a very long time, Alex, Mother Goose told her. She's worked very hard to make the fairy tale world what it is. She knew she wouldn't be here around forever over the past couple centuries. She's looked for someone to continue her work when she's gone. She said any apprentice, and all of them have failed but you. In you, she finally found someone she knows will continue her legacy and continue it well. And knowing this, she's given her soul permission to move on. This only made it much worse for Alex. So what you're saying here, it's my fault, she said. Had I never come to live in the land of stories or joined the fairy council, she would still be looking for a sorcerer or be in the bed. I'm killing her. Oh, good heavens, no, Mother Goose said. I'm trying to tell you, you're saving her. You're giving your grandmother the freedom to pass on, and that's a right every living creature deserves when it's their time to go. It was a very hard thing for Alex to hear. Had she known that every lesson or test she passed, she was getting closer to losing her grandmother, Alex would have given it all up in a heartbeat, but she also knew that was the last thing her grandmother would have wanted. How much time do we have left with her, Alex asked. Would you wake up before she goes? It's hard to say, Esmeralda said. There's always a chance. She could very well pull through this and live for another 100 years. It all depends on how much magic she has left in her. But given the information she shared with Mother Goose, we think it's very unlikely. And that's why Froggy's turned to a frog again, Alex said, staring to make sense of it all. And she dies, some of her magic starts to die with her. So her most recent spells and enchantments will slowly start to fade and wear off. Correct, Esmeralda said, and that's our job to make sure the work she put into this world never fades away completely. Alex gently touched the side of her grandmother's face. She was an extraordinary woman. She wouldn't be surprised if there was still a bit of magic in her somewhere. Froggy, I'd be more happy to change you back to a man, Alex said. It may take a couple tries, but I think I can do it. Froggy was touched by the gesture, especially given the situation, but he surprised the whole room with his answer. No, that's all right, he said. Red, my darling, I hope you can understand this, but I thought it over and decided to stay a frog. They were all really shocked to hear this, especially Red. What are you saying? Red asked. What would make you come to this conclusion? Because no matter times, I became a man. I always change back to a frog, he explained. I think the universe is trying to tell me something, and although I put it on a good show, each transformation is more exhausting than the last. Constantly having to retrain yourself to walk and to eat and function takes a heavy toll. I'd much rather just choose one form and stick with it, and it appears being a frog is what it's meant to be. Red tried her absolute best to take this news well, but after so recently losing her throne, she couldn't put on a brave face. Forgive me, Red said, blinking back tears. I don't mean to look as disappointed as I do, Charlie. You stood by me as I lost my kingdom. I know I can support you through something as trivial as this. Just gonna take some getting used to, I suppose. Please, excuse me. I'm gonna get some fresh air. Red left the fairy godmother's chamber intact, but once she was out the door, they heard her burst into tears. Alex gently placed her grandmother's hand on the bed and rose to leave. I need some air too, Alex said. I'll walk out with you, Mother Goose said. I'll stay with the fairy godmother, Emeralda said. Me too, Froggy said, and took Alex's seat. As Alex walked with Mother Goose through the halls of the fairy palace, she could tell the news about her grandmother had spread. Every fairy who passed looked at her somberly, expressing sympathy and respect as she walked by. This is going to be so hard to get through without my brother, Alex said. I would give anything to have him here with me. Mother Goose's eyes darted up and down the hall. When she reached the vacant part of the hall, she quickly pulled Alex behind the pillar and out of sight. Alex, I need to tell you something, Mother Goose said. It's about your brother. What is it? Alex asked. When your grandmother first told me how she was feeling, I immediately contacted Connor, she explained. I didn't tell him when she was sick, but I sent him a little errand for me to check on something. Check on what? Alex asked. Froggy's spell isn't the only bit of your grandmother's magic that might wear off, she said. The spell she cast to shut the portal between the worlds might fade away as well, and I asked Connor to check it out. A roller coaster of emotions ran through Alex's body. Was it possible a bit of good news could come with this tragedy? After all, the portal could be open. She might see her brother again. How long until we know? She asked. I'm still waiting to hear from him, Mother Goose said. Your grandmother's magic may be faint, but as long as there's a smallest bit left in her, there's no way of telling which of her spells will stick. It could take weeks, months, or even years before we know about the portal. Red suddenly stormed down the hallway, but stopped when she saw Alex and Mother Goose talking behind the pillar. Red, what's wrong? Mother Goose asked her. Are you just sad about Charlie being a Pearl Frog, or has Claudius swallowed one of the pixies again? I was on the balcony feeling sorry for myself when I spotted something, Red said with bright eyes. I may be hallucinating from all the misfortune, but I could swear I just saw Connor running toward the palace. Mother Goose jerked her head back to Alex. Or perhaps the portal's open and we'll know in a matter of minutes, she said, finishing her previous thoughts. Let's go to the balcony. The three of them ran down the hall and emerged into the grand balcony of the fairy palace. They scanned the gardens below until they saw a familiar young man running toward them. Connor! Alex screamed at them, seeing her brother running through the gardens, put her in a state of complete shock, as she were seeing a ghost. She's really seen him, or had the misfortune of the day caused her to hallucinate too. Alex! Connor yelled up at her. He was wheezing and sweaty, like he had been running for hours. I have to tell you something. His voice faded away, his eyes rolled into the back of his head. Connor fainted on the spot. Without missing a beat, Alex ran off the balcony, through the palace, and into the gardens to her brother's side. She kneeled on the ground next to him and placed his head on her lap. Mother Goose and Red arrived after her. Is he dead? Fred asked, hiding behind Mother Goose. Connor, can you hear me? Alex said to her unconscious brother. Can you hear me? Mother Goose removed her flask from her hat and splashed his face inside the liquid inside. Connor stirred in life and quickly sat up. Oh, the burns, he said, wiping the liquid from his eyes. What's wrong with you? I'm sorry, but that usually does the trick, Mother Goose said. Alex instantly broke into tears upon seeing that he was all right. She had spent months convinced she would never see him in person again. Now here he was, sitting on the ground in front of her. She wrapped her arms around his ribs and cried into his chest. Connor, you're here. You're actually here. She sobbed. I've never been so happy to see you someone my entire life. He was panting, but still found the strength to hug her back. It's good to see you too, Alex, he hugged. Mother Goose interrupted the reunion. Kid, if you're here, I assume that means the portal's open, Connor said, breathless. And the army, they're here too. Mother Goose suddenly went pale as a ghost. She tipped her head back and drank whatever was left in her flask. Alex didn't understand what they were talking about. Connor, what army, she asked. And what have you been running from? It's a long story, Connor said, but first I have 2 friends with me from the other world who helped me find the portal. They're in the woods somewhere behind me. They couldn't run anymore, so I left them behind. We have to find them and send them home as soon as possible. I'm on it, Mother Goose said, and whispered to Lester. A couple moments later, the giant goose swooped down from the towers of the place and landed on the ground next to them. Lester was just as surprised to see Connor as the rest of them. Squawk! Lester squawked. Hi, buddy. Long time no see, Connor said, and rubbed Lester's long neck. Mother Goose hopped aboard the gander, and they took off into the night sky to find Connor's friends. Connor got to his feet. He was still having a hard time catching his breath. Froggy appeared at the top of the palace front steps and looked across the gardens. He was amazed by what he saw. Connor? He guessed. Is that really you? Yes, Connor is back, Red told him. The porthole has been reopened or something. Froggy leaped across the garden and gave his friend a giant hug. He didn't care how Connor had managed to return. He was just happy something good could come out of this day. Hi, Froggy, Connor said. It's good to see you two again. You look flustered, old chap, Froggy said. What's the matter? Please, tell us what's wrong, Alex pleaded. You're starting to scare me. Connor took a few extra deep breaths to calm his racing heart and then told him what was happening. He started with his trip to Germany and the warning the brothers Grimm had left in their last story. He explained how he had tried to get a hold of Alex, but eventually contacted Mother Goose. He filled him in how the brothers Grimm had tricked the Grand Army into a change of portal. Connor told him about his trip across Europe to find the portal and to see if it was open, with Bree and Emmerich help. And then, to their absolute horror, he told them that the army of thousands of men and finally arrived in the land of stories after 200 years. They were all at a loss for words. None of them wanted to believe their horrible week was gravely worse than they had thought. Oh my gosh, Alex said. This is unbelievable. Tell me about it, Connor said. It's been a rough couple days, hearing this confused Alex. A couple days, she clarified. Wait, you saying you tried contacting me during the ball? Yeah, Connor said, and rolled his eyes, remembering his attempts. It must have been a pretty busy ball since you couldn't speak to me for 3 days. I'm sorry about that. I was occupied with a lot of things, Alex said, not wanting to get into them, but the ball was almost a month ago, Connor said. You've been in that portal for weeks. Just when Connor's heart calmed down, it started racing again. Emmerich's suspicion was right. The soldiers weren't the only ones who had lost all track of time while they were in the portal. No wonder they had been so discombobulated when they arrived. Oh no, Connor said. That means Bree and Emmerich have been away from their families for a month. Once Mother Goose brings them back, we'll take them to my chambers and send them home using our old Land of Stories book, Alex decided. It should be working again since the portal's been opened. A question suddenly came to Connor's mind. But Mother Goose never explained to me why the portal has been reopened, he said. Do you know why this is happening now? Alex looked gloomily to Froggy and Red, and they went to silent. Connor could tell they knew something he didn't, something important. What is it? Connor said. Has something else happened that I don't know about? Alex took a deep breath before breaking the news to him. Connor, the portal is open for the same reason Froggy is a frog again, he said. Grandma's magic is fading because Grandma's dying. Connor felt like he had been punched in the stomach. He fell to his knees and his eyes darted around the garden surrounding him. This couldn't be happening. He risked so much in the other world trying to save his loved ones, only to find out he couldn't save his grandmother after all. It was like he was trapped in a nightmare that he couldn't wake up from. Grandma can't die, Connor said, and tears formed to his eyes. She's a fairy godmother. Fairies don't die. Telling him was almost harder than hearing it herself. Apparently they do, Alex said through her own tears. How long does she have? He whimpered. There's no way of knowing, Alex said. Esmeralda said as long as there's still magic left inside her, there's always a chance she could pull through, but it looks unlikely since all of her spells are fading. A sudden gust of air blew in them as Mother Goose and Lester returned. They had found Bree and Emmerich and safely brought them to the fairy kingdom. The two were beside themselves as they looked around the majestic gardens and stunning palace. They had never seen such a beautiful place. Wow, you don't see that every day, Emmerich said. Now this is what I was expecting, Bree said happily. Mother Goose hopped down from Lester and helped them off the large bird. They joined the others around Connor. That's a big frog, Emmerich said and saw Froggy standing there. He stepped behind Bree and hid from him. Hey, Alex, Bree said sheepishly. She almost hadn't recognized her. I don't know if you remember me, but we were in social studies together in the 7th grade. You look great. Nice place. Hey, Bree, Alex said vaguely, remembering her. Thanks for helping my brother find the portal. No worries, Bree said. My schedule was pretty open. Connor tearfully looked up at Mother Goose. You didn't tell me the portal was opening because Grandma was sick, he said. Mother Goose let out a long sigh. See, dog? I didn't think I should be the one to tell you, she said. Connor looked away from her. No, you never want to take responsibility for anything, he said coldly. Mother Goose went quietly and shamefully looked to the ground. He was right. Bree and Emmerich fell silent too. They weren't sure what kind of drama they had walked into. Would it make you feel better if you saw her? Alex said, her brother. She's resting in her room. Connor shook his head. He wanted to take care of his guilt before he moved on to his grief. No, I want to get Bree and Emmerich home first, he said. I don't want to expose them more than I already have. Alex led them to the palace and up the stairs to her chambers. She retrieved the old Land of Stories book, with its emerald cover and gold ring from its special spot on her bookshelf. Alex placed the large book in the center of her bed. She tapped it 3 times with the tip of her crystal wand, but nothing happened. She tried it twice more, but got the same result. I don't understand, she said. The portal is open. Why isn't the book working? Mother Goose picked up the book and inspected every inch of it. Her eyes lit up as she came to a sudden realization. Because the portal is so halfway closed, she explained. Your grandmother's magic has faded enough for the portal to open on the other world side, but not enough to open on this side. It's like the doorway has only been unlocked on one side. So you're saying as Bree and Emmerich are stuck here? Connor asked. The situation just grew more terrible by the hour. For the time being, Mother Goose said. Wait a second, Alex said, and looked up and all the guests in her room. Her eyes widened and a smile slowly appeared. This is good news. How could this be good news? Connor asked. Because if the portal's closed on our side, it means there's so little magic left in Grandma, she said happily. Alright, that is the end of chapter 15. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear more of the Land of Stories of Grimm Morning and more books to come. And also, if you liked the video, don't forget to give the video some thumbs up later on. And if you have any suggestions for me to read later on, don't forget to comment below on those suggestions for me to read. But overall, I hope you enjoyed the read and hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!